Hello everyone, this is Kari from sunshineinmypocket.com and I'm so excited to be here to share with you some Miss Ink stamps. These are from the Alice in Wonderland release and I am in love with all of these. And today I wanted to share with you a couple of cards using some of these sets. This one is the Alice set and here is the Tea Party. I am going to also be using a couple stencils, these two right here. And then I wanted to share with you, these are their new Dazzle Dust. I've got 3 different colors here. I just wanted to show you these really quick. This one is called Moody Blues. It has kind of a green and then a shift to blue. This one is Pink Flamingo, and that one has some neat iridescence to the pink. And the last one here is Mermaid Lagoon, and it's got like a green, blue, purple shift. So very pretty, and today I'm going to show you 2 ways to use that Dazzle Dust along with these stencils and some of the Alice sets that I showed you earlier. Here's a look at the cards we're going to create, and I hope you'll stick around because I'm going to be explaining the giveaway a little bit later. So I'm going to start out with the first way. What I'm going to do is first ink up this stencil. I'm using the new Speckled Egg Distress ink, and I'm just going to blend it on to the stencil using a blending brush, and it's just going to be very, very simple. I thought this color reminded me a little bit of Alice in Wonderland, so I thought it would be perfect with that beautiful Wonky checker stencil. I love that. And now what we're going to do is take a couple of dies. Now, these are a little off screen, but I will move this up to show you. I have a rectangle die and I have a square die, and I'm going to line those up because we are going to create kind of a Polaroid picture look with this. So I'm going to take this out and I'm going to reserve all of those pieces because we're going to be using all of them. And so that middle square we will use, and then this whole Polaroid piece we're going to use as well. You can see that it's a little bit long here, so I'm going to partially die cut just a little bit off the bottom there. So I ran that through my die cut machine, just that bottom portion, to cut it shorter, and it's still going to have just enough room to fit the sentiment on that we're going to use today. So now I'm taking that square piece from the center of the Polaroid we created using some basic dies, and I'm going to be putting some double-sided adhesive on. You can use any kind of double-sided adhesive you want, but this is a really neat trick. And now I'm going to place this stencil right on. I'm trying to get it centered here, but it is going to stick really well with that double-sided adhesive. Now I'm going to start off with the Dazzle Dust in the color Moody Blues. That's this one here. And I'm just going to take my spoon here and spread some around, and it's going to stick to the portion of the double-sided adhesive that is showing, that the stencil is not covering. So what I found worked really well for me was to take the bone folder here, and it's just my Teflon bone folder, and burnish it in so that it sticks really well. You can use your finger if you want. You can use the transfer piece over there that's the extra, and I will use that a little bit later. I did find that I loved using both methods, my bone folder and this piece right here, the extra transfer piece. So I'm just going to burnish that right in, and then when it is ready, I'm going to carefully peel off that stencil. Now when we peel off this stencil, it's going to reveal a part that the stencil was covering that is still very sticky. That's why you have to be very careful when you peel this off. But look at how great that worked. And now I'm going to take the Mermaid Lagoon Dazzle Dust, and I'm going to put it on the part that was covered by the stencil, which is still sticky. So I sprinkled a little bit on. You don't really need a lot, not as much as you think. And then I'm going to burnish it on with the bone folder, and look at that. It is coming alive. You can see the differences in those different colors of Dazzle Dust there, the blue and the purple, and then when you twist it towards the light, it does have a little color changing effect. I thought this worked really well for an Alice in Wonderland card. Now I'm just going to stamp the sentiment onto our Polaroid here. It's going to say, "I heard you fell down a rabbit hole." And I'm using my VersaFine Onyx Black ink for this, which really creates a nice black crisp impression. I am double stamping it, and then I'm going to cover it with some clear embossing powder and heat set that. That way I'm not going to smear it, and it'll stay nice and raised on our card. So very simple, and just heat setting that here. And now I'm going to stamp out my images. I have chosen one of the Alice's, the one that looks like she's falling down the rabbit hole, and one of the white rabbits, a couple of the cookies and a little drink, a mushroom, and another little image here. And I'm just going to quickly show you how I colored up just the two main images. So I'm starting with E50s. I go in with my lightest E50. I'm going in with an E53 now, blending that out with the E51, and then I'll blend that all the way with the E50. I'm going to add a little blush to her cheeks, just a little bit here with an R20, and then blend that all the way through with the E50. This is such a nice small image to color. It doesn't take much, it's just so easy. Now I'm going to use a BG53 on her dress. I am trying to match her dress kind of to the Speckled Egg Distress inks. And so this is really all going to look like we meant for it all to go together, as you know, you want a card to look. So it works out really well. The BG53 is a really great color for the darkest color. I'll go in with the BG11, and then I'm going to blend that all out with the lightest color, which I believe is the BG000. So this is a very simple Copic coloring today, just nice and quick. I left this part in to show you how easy it is to get some great looking images with some simple coloring. And I wanted to tell you about the giveaway a little bit. We are introducing a new video design team for Miss Ink Stamps. It is a really great opportunity to get to know the new team members every day from September 1st to the 4th. So comment on each video, give them a thumbs up, and do this before September 12th on the Miss Ink Stamps YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe while you're there, and we would love for you to win a $25 gift card to the Miss Ink shop. So thank you so much for being here today. I will have all the links below and the information. Let's get back to the coloring. So I've taken some neutral colors for her tights and her shoes, some neutral grays, and now I'm going in with some cool grays just to give some shadows to her white little accents here on her apron. And that's all there is to it. I'll blend it out with the colorless blender just to kind of make it a nice smooth transition. And that is going to be the coloring for Alice here. Moving on to the white rabbit, I'm just going to take that same R20 for his ear, and then we'll use some warm grays for his body. Since he's a white rabbit, I'm not using some very dark colors here. I am just going in with W1, W0, and W3 and just blending those out. I've already colored the Cheshire Cat and that little bottle, the bow around the bottle, with some purples, and now I'm going to go and color the jacket of the rabbit. Now normally I think the white rabbit wears a red jacket, but one wonderful thing about coloring is you can choose any colors you want. And for mine, I wanted it to kind of match the Dazzle Dust, so I'm doing a green. And I'm going to start with the G21 here, go in with a G28, and then blend that out with the midtone, which is the G24. So this creates a nice green jacket for the rabbit. It matches our Moody blues and a little of the Mermaid Lagoon, so it brings those colors in beautifully. And look at how happy he looks. I added just a few extra colors, the N7 to their little noses. I wanted to darken up that jacket just a little, so I went back through with the darkest, midtone, and the light. For Alice's hair, I'll take the E55 and go over those lines just to kind of give her some lowlights and some highlights now with the E51, and then I'll go over everything with the Y00 to add just a little more blonde touch to that. That's it. So our coloring is complete now. I'm going to go ahead and look how cute that's all going to look together. I went ahead and fussy cut all of those out, and now I'm taking the Polaroid that we created with the Dazzle Dust center using the rabbit hole stencil. I'm going to put all of that on with some 3M foam tape. I'll attach the rabbit with some 3M foam tape as well, but I did put a little bit of liquid adhesive on the back of his face there so that it would glue directly to that Polaroid. I'm going to add Alice to the center here right in the middle of the rabbit hole, and I'll do that with some liquid adhesive. This will also help the glitter to stay on the card itself. So I'll add that there. That will stick really great. I'm going to add an acrylic block so that that can stick down, and then I'll add the other little elements here to the bottom right hand side of the picture. And then the last thing to do is just attach it to the card base. I'm attaching it to a top folding card base that's 100-pound paper, and that is going to work out perfectly for this first card. I heard you fell down a rabbit hole. Isn't that pretty with that Dazzle Dust? I love how that turned out. For the second card, I'm going to show you a different way to use Dazzle Dust. If you don't like your glitter to come off from your card, this way might be perfect for you. So I first taped off a portion, the bottom portion of this panel, and I inked on some black Distress ink. Now I'm going to tape on that same stencil, the Wonky checker stencil that we used before, and I'm going to use the Dazzle Dust that I haven't used yet in the pink Flamingo. To do this, I'm going to take some glossy accents, and I'm putting about a dime size of glossy accents here on my craft mat, and now I'm going to add a little bit of the Dazzle Dust. Just a scoop or two, and then I'll mix it up with my spatula here and add it to the stencil. I didn't quite create enough for this, so I ended up having to go in and use a little more glossy accents. So next time I would have done probably double the amount that I did, but I wasn't quite sure how much to make, and I didn't want to have any leftover. So this time it worked out perfect. I ended up using pretty much all of it here. And I'm just going to spread that around to get it all nice and even and make sure that the stencil portion is covered. Here's the reveal. Look at how pretty that looks. I'm going to take off all of those pieces, and now I'm going to take all of these items to the sink so I can wash them off. I was a little worried that the glossy accents would stick really well, but look at how clean that came. It worked out perfectly. I just used a little bit of hot water and washed it all off, and that was it. Everything came out sparkly clean. Now we're going to create the background using some Distress Oxides. This is one of my favorite things to do, is to use the Distress Oxides with these blending tools. I'm just going to ink that on really quickly. I've sped this up quite a bit so that you don't have to watch the entire thing. I'm using 4 colors here, and I will list all the colors below if you're interested, and that's all there is to the background. I did go back through a couple of times to make sure they blended really well together. And now I have these pieces that I've already colored up in the same way that I showed you before, and they're ready to be put on. I went ahead and stamped this sentiment, and it says, "If I had a world of my own, everything would be nonsense." So for this card, I'm putting all the animals on the table, I'm putting the food on the floor. It's all kind of nonsense here. I attached Alice with some 3M foam tape, and the rest of everything else I'm attaching with liquid adhesive. And there is going to be our card. Now the whole table is not going to stay on this card. I'm going to flip it over and cut off the excess, and that will be it. Such an easy, simple card to put together. It has a lot of impact though, and I really love that sentiment. So here I'm cutting off the other half of the table, and that can be reserved for another card. And I'll just attach that to a top folding card. Here's a look at both of our cards today that we did. This one using some Dazzle Dust with some glossy accents to make that stick together in like a gel. That's not going to come off. And this one using a stencil and some double-sided adhesive to do a 2 duotone color Dazzle Dust rabbit hole. That's a mouthful. I hope you enjoyed this video today. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up and comment below for your chance to win. And subscribe to this channel if you enjoyed this. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.